Warning: this video contains details of real crime cases. Watch with caution. If you're a fan of true crime investigations and want to follow more stories like this, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss any case. Imagine the wedding of the decade turning into the biggest scandal the affluent town of Oakbrook had ever seen. Perfect lives shattered, betrayal exposed, and dark secrets unraveling in real time. This is the Oakbrook scandal, a tale of love, deception, and greed that rocked the elite. You might think this is just another love triangle, but when the truth was revealed, it sent shockwaves through the community, uncovering layers of corruption, betrayal, and financial schemes. In the affluent suburbs of Westchester County, New York, the lives of three individuals became inextricably linked in a tale of privilege, love, and tragedy. At the center of this story is Emily Rothschild, the only daughter of real estate tycoon Jonathan Rothschild and his socialite wife, Victoria. Emily's childhood was a tapestry of private schools, equestrian lessons, and high society events. From an early age, she was taught the paramount importance of maintaining an impeccable public image, a lesson that would shape her life in profound ways. Despite the outward appearance of perfection, Emily's relationship with her parents was cold and distant, leaving her emotionally isolated in a world of material excess. Growing up in the sprawling Rothschild estate, Emily found solace in her academic pursuits. She developed a passion for art history, excelling in her studies and using her knowledge as a shield against the emotional void at home. This pursuit of excellence would follow her to college, where she would meet the man who would change the course of her life. Enter Nathan Sullivan, a young man from a modest background in rural Vermont. The son of a small-town doctor, Nathan was raised with values that stood in stark contrast to Emily's upbringing. He learned early on to appreciate hard work, honesty, and the importance of community. These qualities, so different from what Emily knew, drew her to him like a moth to a flame. Their meeting at Yale University seemed like fate. Emily, with her polished exterior and hidden vulnerabilities, found in Nathan a genuine warmth she had never experienced. For Nathan, Emily represented not just love, but also the promise of a stable, successful future he had always dreamed of. However, the entrance of Nathan's cousin, Lucas Bennett, would introduce an unexpected and volatile element to their relationship. Unlike Nathan, Lucas grew up in the lap of luxury in Newport, Rhode Island. His childhood, while materially abundant, lacked the emotional stability that money couldn't buy. Charming and rebellious, Lucas possessed a magnetism that would prove dangerously alluring to Emily. The backdrop for this unfolding drama was the picturesque town of Oakbrook, Connecticut. Known for its historic mansions and lavish parties, Oakbrook presented an image of tranquility and order. Yet beneath this veneer of perfection, the town harbored secrets and tensions that would ultimately erupt in tragedy. As Emily and Nathan's relationship blossomed, the pressure of societal expectations began to mount. Emily found herself caught between the life she thought she wanted and the excitement Lucas represented. Nathan, consumed by his career aspirations, failed to notice the growing distance between him and his fiancée. The stage was set for a series of events that would shatter the illusion of perfection that Emily had spent her entire life cultivating. The quiet streets of Oakbrook, lined with manicured lawns and stately homes, would soon bear witness to a scandal that would rock the foundations of high society and leave an indelible mark on all involved. In this tale of love, betrayal, and tragic consequences, the lives of Emily Rothschild, Nathan Sullivan, and Lucas Bennett would become a cautionary tale, reminding us that beneath the surface of even the most picture-perfect lives, turbulent waters may run deep. As the autumn leaves began to turn in Oakbrook, Connecticut, the engagement of Emily Rothschild and Nathan Sullivan was the talk of the town. Their impending nuptials, scheduled to take place at the historic Oakbrook Manor, promised to be the social event of the season. However, beneath the surface of this seemingly perfect union, cracks had begun to form. Emily, feeling increasingly trapped by the weight of societal expectations and her mother's emotional manipulation, found herself yearning for an escape. It was in this vulnerable state that Lucas Bennett, Nathan's charismatic cousin, entered the picture. Lucas, with his rebellious spirit and disregard for convention, offered Emily the excitement and risk that her relationship with Nathan lacked. As the wedding date drew near, Emily and Lucas embarked on a clandestine affair. They exchanged coded messages and met in discreet locations, their trysts carefully hidden from Nathan's unsuspecting eyes. The affair was a dangerous dance of passion and deceit, with both participants aware of the potential consequences but unable to resist the pull of forbidden desire. Nathan, absorbed in his work at a prestigious law firm, initially failed to notice the subtle changes in Emily's behavior. However, as the weeks passed, small clues began to accumulate. An unfamiliar scent lingering in Emily's car, deleted messages on her phone, and Lucas's evasive behavior when questioned about his frequent visits to Oakbrook. 2 weeks before the wedding, Nathan's suspicions reached a boiling point. He confronted Emily about his concerns, but she vehemently denied any wrongdoing. Her denials, however, only fueled Nathan's determination to uncover the truth. He began his own investigation, meticulously piecing together evidence of Emily and Lucas's betrayal. As Nathan delved deeper, he uncovered irrefutable proof of the affair. Credit card statements revealed secret hotel stays, while security camera footage captured Emily and Lucas entering and leaving these establishments together. The final piece of evidence came in the form of intimate text messages Nathan managed to recover from Emily's phone. Devastated by the revelation, Nathan found himself at a crossroads. The betrayal cut deep, shaking the very foundation of his relationship with Emily and his trust in his own cousin. After days of internal struggle, Nathan made a fateful decision. He would expose the truth on the day of the wedding itself. The morning of October 15th dawned crisp and clear, with no hint of the storm about to break. Guests arrived at Oakbrook Manor, admiring the autumn foliage and the elegant decorations. Emily, resplendent in her designer gown, walked down the aisle, her face a mask of serene happiness that betrayed nothing of her inner turmoil. As the ceremony began, tension hung in the air, palpable only to those involved in the unfolding drama. Nathan stood at the altar, his expression unreadable, as he prepared to shatter the illusion of perfection that had been so carefully constructed. Little did anyone know that this day, meant to celebrate love and union, would instead become a turning point in all their lives. The events about to unfold would not only destroy relationships, but would ultimately lead to an irreversible tragedy that would shake the community of Oakbrook to its core. The opulent ballroom of Oakbrook Manor fell silent as Nathan Sullivan, standing before the assembled guests, interrupted the exchange of vows. His voice, steady but laced with pain, cut through the air like a knife. "I can't do this," he began, his eyes fixed on Emily. "Not when I know the truth." What followed was a revelation that sent shockwaves through the gathered crowd. Nathan, with methodical precision, laid bare the details of Emily's affair with Lucas. He presented evidence, text messages, hotel receipts, and eyewitness accounts, painting a vivid picture of betrayal that left no room for doubt. The guests, a mix of New York's elite and the couple's closest friends, reacted with a mixture of shock, disbelief, and morbid fascination. Emily's parents, Jonathan and Victoria Rothschild, sat frozen in their seats, their carefully cultivated image of family perfection crumbling before their eyes. As Nathan's words hung in the air, Emily stood paralyzed, her white gown a stark contrast to the darkness of the moment. Lucas, seated among the guests, visibly paled as the spotlight of scandal turned to him. The tension in the room was palpable, a powder keg of emotions waiting to explode. In the days that followed, the events at Oakbrook Manor became the subject of intense speculation and investigation. Local law enforcement, led by Detective Sarah Martinez, began piecing together the timeline of the affair. They interviewed guests, staff, and family members, slowly building a comprehensive picture of the relationship between Emily and Lucas. One key piece of evidence emerged from an unexpected source. A valet at the Rothschild estate came forward with security camera footage showing Lucas's car entering and leaving the property at odd hours over the past few months. This corroborated Nathan's claims and provided a clear pattern of clandestine meetings. As the investigation progressed, deeper motivations came to light. Friends of Emily spoke of her increasing restlessness in the months leading up to the wedding. They described a woman torn between her duty to her family's expectations and a desire for personal freedom. Lucas, they said, represented an escape from the gilded cage of her upbringing. Lucas's background also came under scrutiny. Investigators uncovered a history of financial troubles and risky behavior, suggesting that his interest in Emily may not have been entirely romantic. Some speculated that he saw her as a ticket to financial security, a way to maintain the lavish lifestyle to which he had become accustomed. The media, always hungry for scandal among the elite, descended on Oakbrook like vultures. News vans lined the streets, and reporters camped out in front of the Rothschild estate, hoping for a glimpse of the disgraced socialite or her jilted fiancé. The story dominated local headlines and even made its way to national tabloids, each outlet offering its own sensationalized version of events. Amidst this frenzy, Detective Martinez and her team worked tirelessly to separate fact from fiction. They combed through financial records, interviewed hotel staff, and analyzed phone records, gradually building a comprehensive timeline of the affair. As the investigation deepened, a question began to form in the minds of those involved. Was this simply a case of a love triangle gone wrong, or were there darker forces at play? The answer to this question would prove to be more shocking than anyone could have imagined. The investigation took a dramatic turn on a crisp autumn morning, 3 weeks after the ill-fated wedding ceremony. As the golden leaves of Oakbrook's maples drifted to the ground, a shocking revelation shattered the veneer of high society scandal, transforming a tale of infidelity into something far more sinister. Detective Sarah Martinez had called a press conference at the Oakbrook Police Department. The room buzzed with anticipation as journalists from local and national media outlets jostled for position. At precisely 10 a.m., Martinez stepped up to the podium, her face grave. "Ladies and gentlemen," she began, her voice steady, "what we initially believed to be a case of infidelity has taken a dark and unexpected turn." The room fell silent as she continued. "New evidence has come to light that suggests a premeditated conspiracy involving not just Ms. Rothschild and Mr. Bennett, but also Mr. Sullivan." The bombshell Martinez dropped was this: Nathan Sullivan had known about the affair between Emily and Lucas for months. Not only had he known, but he had actively encouraged it. Email records and text messages recovered from Nathan's personal devices painted a picture of a man orchestrating his own humiliation. But why? The answer lay in the Rothschild family's vast fortune. Nathan, it seemed, had discovered a clause in the prenuptial agreement that would grant him a substantial settlement in the event of Emily's infidelity. By allowing and even facilitating the affair, Nathan stood to gain millions. The revelation sent shockwaves through the community. Emily Rothschild, once seen as the villain of the piece, was now cast in a new light, that of a pawn in a cruel game of financial manipulation. Lucas Bennett, it appeared, had been an unwitting participant, genuinely believing his affair with Emily was a clandestine romance. As Martinez detailed the evidence, gasps and murmurs rippled through the assembled press corps. She presented financial records showing large transfers from offshore accounts to Nathan Sullivan in the weeks leading up to the wedding. These transfers, she explained, were believed to be payments for his role in the scheme. The detective also revealed a series of encrypted messages between Nathan and an unknown party, discussing the plan in coded language. Cybersecurity experts were still working to identify the other participant, but early indications suggested connections to rival business interests of the Rothschild empire. This turning point in the investigation cast a shadow over Oakbrook's elite. Trust was shattered, reputations were in tatters, and the veneer of respectability that had long covered the town's darker undercurrents was irrevocably cracked. As the press conference concluded, Martinez made a final, chilling statement. "We are now treating this as a case of conspiracy and fraud. Mr. Sullivan is currently in custody and cooperating with our investigation. Ms. Rothschild and Mr. Bennett are persons of interest and have been asked to make themselves available for further questioning." The aftermath of this revelation was immediate and far-reaching. The Rothschild family went into seclusion, their legal team working overtime to distance them from the scandal. Lucas Bennett, last seen boarding a private jet to an undisclosed location, became the subject of an international manhunt. As night fell over Oakbrook, the town found itself at the center of a storm that threatened to expose long-buried secrets and shatter the foundations of its most powerful families. The question on everyone's lips was no longer about a simple affair, but about how deep the conspiracy went and who else might be implicated in the unfolding drama. In the months following the explosive revelations, the Oakbrook scandal continued to unfold like a complex tapestry of deceit, greed, and unexpected twists. The quiet Connecticut town, once known for its picturesque charm, had become synonymous with one of the most intricate cases of high society fraud in recent memory. Nathan Sullivan, the architect of the scheme, faced a barrage of legal challenges. In a plea deal that shocked many, he agreed to cooperate fully with the authorities in exchange for a reduced sentence. His testimony implicated several prominent figures in Oakbrook's elite circles, suggesting a wider conspiracy that reached far beyond the initial love triangle. Emily Rothschild, initially perceived as a victim of manipulation, found herself at the center of a media firestorm. As more details emerged, it became clear that her role in the affair was more nuanced than originally thought. While she had indeed been a pawn in Nathan's larger scheme, evidence suggested she was not entirely unaware of the financial motivations behind her actions. In a tell-all interview with a national news network, Emily spoke of the suffocating pressures of her upbringing and the allure of rebellion that Lucas represented. Lucas Bennett, who had fled the country in the wake of the scandal, was eventually apprehended in a small coastal town in Portugal. His extradition and subsequent trial became a media sensation, with Lucas maintaining his innocence throughout. He claimed to have been genuinely in love with Emily, unaware of the larger conspiracy unfolding around him. The Rothschild empire, once thought unshakable, faced its greatest crisis. Jonathan and Victoria Rothschild were forced to step down from their positions in various charitable organizations, their reputation in tatters. The family's business interests came under intense scrutiny, leading to a series of audits and investigations that uncovered years of financial impropriety. As the dust began to settle, the town of Oakbrook was left to grapple with the aftermath. The scandal had exposed the dark underbelly of wealth and privilege, forcing many to confront uncomfortable truths about the society they had long been a part of. Detective Sarah Martinez, whose diligent work had been instrumental in unraveling the conspiracy, reflected on the case in her final press conference. This investigation has revealed that beneath the surface of even the most seemingly perfect lives, there can lie a web of deceit and manipulation. It serves as a stark reminder that appearances can be deceiving, and that the pursuit of wealth and status can lead individuals down a dark path. The legal proceedings concluded with Nathan Sullivan sentenced to 15 years in prison for fraud and conspiracy. Emily Rothschild received a suspended sentence and was ordered to pay substantial fines. Lucas Bennett, found guilty of lesser charges, was sentenced to 5 years probation and community service. In the wake of the scandal, Oakbrook saw a shift in its social dynamics. The facade of perfection that had long defined the town's elite was shattered, leading to a period of introspection and change. New community leaders emerged, emphasizing transparency and ethical behavior. The Oakbrook case became a cautionary tale, studied in law schools and discussed in ethics classes across the country. It served as a powerful reminder of the corrupting influence of greed and the importance of integrity, even in the face of temptation. As Oakbrook slowly began to heal, the events that had unfolded within its borders left an indelible mark on all involved, forever changing the landscape of this once idyllic town. As the dust settled on the Oakbrook scandal, the ripple effects continued to be felt far beyond the town's borders. The case that began as a simple tale of infidelity, only to unravel into a complex web of deceit and financial manipulation, left an indelible mark on the American psyche. 5 years after the fateful wedding day that sparked the investigation, Oakbrook had transformed. The once exclusive enclave of the ultra-wealthy had become a symbol of the dangers of unchecked privilege and the importance of transparency. The town's journey from disgrace to redemption became a blueprint for communities grappling with similar issues across the nation. Nathan Sullivan, serving his sentence in a federal penitentiary, became an unlikely advocate for white-collar crime reform. His detailed accounts of how easily the wealthy could manipulate the system led to congressional hearings and eventually new legislation aimed at closing loopholes in financial regulations. Emily Rothschild, after completing her community service, retreated from public life. She emerged years later as a philanthropist, focusing on organizations that support victims of psychological manipulation and financial abuse. Her story became a cautionary tale, frequently cited in discussions about the pressures faced by those born into extreme wealth and privilege. Lucas Bennett, upon completing his probation, wrote a best-selling memoir titled Unwitting Accomplice. The book offered a raw, unfiltered look at the seductive power of wealth and the ease with which moral boundaries can blur in the face of temptation. It sparked a national conversation about personal responsibility and the nature of complicity. Detective Sarah Martinez's career soared in the wake of the case. Her methodical approach to unraveling the complex conspiracy earned her accolades and speaking engagements at law enforcement conferences nationwide. She became a respected voice in discussions about white-collar crime and its impact on communities. The Rothschild family, once the pinnacle of social and financial success, saw their empire crumble. The scandal exposed years of financial impropriety, leading to a series of high-profile trials and settlements. The family name, once synonymous with power and influence, became a cautionary tale in business schools and ethics classes across the country. Oakbrook itself underwent a remarkable transformation. The town, eager to shed its reputation as a haven for the morally corrupt elite, embraced a new ethos of community engagement and ethical governance. Annual town halls, once perfunctory affairs, became vibrant forums for discussing local issues and ensuring accountability. As the 10th anniversary of the scandal approached, national media once again turned its attention to Oakbrook. What they found was a town reborn. Its opulent mansions now housing charitable foundations, its streets alive with community events that brought together residents from all walks of life. The Oakbrook case, with its twists and turns, its rise and fall of fortunes, and its ultimate message of redemption, became more than just a sensational news story. It evolved into a modern American parable, a stark reminder of the corrosive effects of greed and deception, but also a testament to the power of truth and the possibility of genuine change. In the end, the legacy of Emily, Nathan, and Lucas was not the scandal they created, but the reforms and societal introspection that followed. Their story continues to be told, dissected, and debated, a complex tapestry of human frailty, ambition, and the enduring quest for authenticity in a world often blinded by the allure of wealth and status.